Hello, welcome to the Crispy Around the Edges podcast. I'm here with you, Wate, today. We be talking about black role models. And in fact, speaking about black role models, I got my father here with me today. Hey, introduce yourself, please.
Hello, I am his father. Look,
Okay.
I am your father.
And we're going to be getting into a little bit about definitions before we really dive into the meat and potatoes here, just so we're on the same page and everyone knows what we're talking about. So, to kick it off, since we're talking about black role models for young black men, let's uh let's go into what we think when we say black, what do we mean here?
To me, I
Mm,
guess it's important that I would say people know that, for lack of a better term, we're not all one big Negro. So there's different levels of black. Are you African American? Which just right there, what is African American? Does that mean you're a first generation African? So your parents were Native Africans, and now they're here in America, and they had a kid, and now that kid was born here in America, and so now you are, sir, an African American. Well, then I'm not an African American if you're African American because I wasn't native of Africa. I'm native of America. My parents were here. I have many generations here in America. So I have no ties with Africa. And if you want to say, oh, well, your lineage comes there from there. Well, if we ask science, everyone's lineage comes from Africa because Africa is the cradle of life. And that's just a scientific fact.
okay. So hmm, for me, I think I'm gonna go with African American, but because that's just where I can speak from.
Right, right. I guess if I'm gonna say what I am, I'm a Black American. I was here in
Cool. Yes.
America. I'm from America. My roots are here. My foundation is here in America.
And considering I am from you, I would be the same. Now, let's go on to uh masculinity. We're gonna because we gotta define black man before we can dive into black man.
Correct.
One word. So let's go into masculinity. What does it mean to be a man, and what does it mean to be masculine here? Is there a healthy or an unhealthy version of this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's an unhealthy version of almost everything. I mean, just from love. You can love too much, but is love itself a great thing? It's wonderful. So I guess masculinity, I feel in a man, it's a great thing. But
Mhm.
too much is not a good thing. You can be over masculine. You can be, uh, for example, people that we all know the overly tough guy, or
Mhm.
or the or the guy who's uber hypersexual, and to him that's masculinity because he has um, locker room talk, if you will.
Yes.
So I mean, I would say, if we're going to take it to its purest form of even primitive from mammals, being a mammal, you still have some of those instinctive uh, instinctive behaviors, like to protect your family, to want to provide for your family. And I think it goes too far to the point where a man feels like he's less than a man if his wife makes more money than him. I believe that is a case of false pride and has absolutely nothing to do with masculinity, because you should be able to be comfortable in your own skin, knowing that you are still the head of your household and the head of your family. And I think that a man should be the head of his household. But now we're going into uh, Christianity and religion at that point, which I
Yes.
think
Okay.
should be inherent of being a black man, Part of
Cool.
being a black man as well. It's part of the community. It's part of your DNA, if you ask me personally.
And so I'm gonna piggyback off of that and say that it is, of course, I think that black masculinity and masculinity is just a whole is something that one must define for themselves in order to reach the point where it's like healthy. You can't. I don't think that. Hmm, like trying to just copy the stereotypical this is what a man is on what is commonly seen on screens. I don't think that'll end up too well for you. Um, I think a positive view on like if I'm a man or not. I think you're gonna have to find that for yourself. Is making a certain amount of money going to make you a man? Is being able to enjoy what you enjoy without worrying about what other people think make you a man?
Well,
I mean,
I have a question on that
yeah,
then. So, okay, I decide what masculinity is for me and what being a
correct.
man is for me. Okay, does that include wearing a dress? Can you still be manly? Are you still masculine wearing a dress?
Hmm. Interesting. It's just like, is that your everyday choice of clothes? Is dress?
Not necessarily. It's like a t-shirt. It's in your closet. Do I wear a t-shirt every day? Do I wear jeans every day?
I
Do I
say just
wear
a choice of
sweats
clothes.
every day? It's a choice of clothing. I mean, some people believe I mean, you've seen NBA stars, you've seen rappers, you've seen uh, uh, football players that are black. I'm masculine. I play basketball. I play football. I'm testosterone, and I wear a dress because I choose to, and it shouldn't be a problem. And I'm masculine, to the bone.
I think a dress as it is kind of just and as it is in our current culture is just inherently feminine as a dress. That's just it is how it's marketed. That is in our current climate what it's meant for. But I'm not going to strip you of your sense of masculinity because you wore a dress. That's your own choice there. And go ahead. You know, if that's what you, I mean, of course, I think there are some lines, uh, or some things you can define as masculine, but or maybe some actions that maybe make you unmasculine. But I think you need to. Hmm, I don't think that wearing a dress, just wearing it per se, may make you unmasculine.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. What about, I mean, then do we step to the next step and I have on a dress, I have on makeup now because I'm shooting a video or I'm on stage. Now I have on the dress, I have on, I guess if you want to say stage makeup, and you see they carry those big purses. Hold on. Men are getting their nails painted now. Now we have nails painted and they all swear to be masculine.
Mhm.
So now what's masculinity? Well, I guess my point is saying that is if we begin to yes, people should choose and they have their choice to do what they want to do. That's what makes America great. But I believe that there has to be some lines drawn
I agree.
on what is masculine. There has to be some
Yes,
basics
there is.
that
I
this
think that
is
hmm,
masculine.
I think there is. I agree. Um, the dress example is a decent one because I do think like that some choices of clothes are going to paint you as masculine or feminine. That's just how it is. But wearing a dress, I don't think it right. I don't think wearing a dress immediately strips you of it. I think, but
So then I say, then we open up the door. See, this was it's to me. I feel like it's
okay,
Pandora's box. Now,
it is.
okay,
It
can you
is.
wear drag now? Are we dragging? Where RuPaul's dragging it out, can you still be masculine? Can you still be considered? That's an example of masculinity. That right there is a man's man. I mean, that's, I mean,
I don't. So I don't think I can speak too much on this portion because I can only speak from like the I don't know the straight heteronormative masculinity which I embody. I can only speak from that.
right,
And getting any further, I don't think I'd be able to properly articulate what I think that subject yet.
right.
So I think we should stick with the more, let's say, maybe normative view of masculinity.
Right.
I don't want to say that, but like, as in how it's usually viewed. And I think that's perfectly fine too.
Regular, if I mean, for if you will, I mean, what's regular
Or
masculinity?
I think we'd have to. That's a whole nother can of worms that I don't think we could really define. I don't think there is really a regular. It changes every year. All right.
Well, see,
Whenever something's
I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem that we're having here, is because these potential dress wearers, and I have nothing against what you want to do, but what we're talking about is role models. So now some of these people can become a role model now. I don't have a
and they may
problem
have
with
good qualities.
uh, Russell Westbrook. I don't have a problem with him. I don't know the man personally, but I've heard he does charitable work. I heard he's a good husband. From what I hear, he's a great person. He has chosen to wear dresses before. Well, I don't want you to be a role model for my kids, for my community. I don't want you to speak for my community or for my children. I don't need my kids looking up to you. I don't need my family looking up to you. You could be a great person, a great guy, but you've made choices that I don't agree with.
I think that's all right. That's all right not to agree with them. And he may just be a role model for a different type of black person. You know what I'm saying? Plenty of them
Right.
out. That's fine.
I mean, I can give them that. I mean, once again, we're not all one big Negro, so
Exactly. And in fact, I think it should be a great time to move deeper into role models and for like the young black man community and how it is now. I think it's the perfect segue into it. And I think we should talk about a little bit multidimensionality before we move on. So, in case you're unaware, multidimensionality in essence is looking at it's taking how we aren't one big black person. We all have our own different experiences and going maybe in depth on that personal experience. It adds another dimension to just being black or man. There are plenty of black men out there, but now we're diving deeper into that. How does one become this black man that they became? Who do they look up to, and who do they try to emulate? That's where role models come in. And one of the issues I believe that keeps the black community down is the lack thereof of role models. It is with the disproportionately, high amount of us living in impoverished areas, perhaps those with single parent households, particularly without a father figure. How does one get a role model? I'd like to dive deeper into that. Now, first, did I cut you off? Did you want to say something real quick?
No, I just was wanted to add, whereas with me, I believe we have plenty of role models.
Oh, cool. Yep.
To me, the problem is are they good role models? See, a role model is a role model inherently good? When you say a role model, does that automatically say goodness? Can you
No,
be a bad role model?
you can.
Okay, so then we have to establish, you can't just say role models in the black community, and we're because we're talking about all of them, yes, but specifically we need good role models. We
Correct.
have plenty of role models. That's not the problem. We don't have plenty of good ones. hold on. And I take that back. We have plenty of good ones, but people got to be willing to listen to them. And with social media, it's not glamorous.
It is not. It is not romanticized and glamorized like the big baller lifestyle is, for lack of a better
Right.
term.
I mean, right. I mean, the electrician who paid for his house, he's been an electrician for 30 years. He owns his home, he owns his vehicles, and he has that old dusty truck, but he sent 3 kids to college. And he's about to retire with a $6,000 a month pension. He's not looked at as he knows what he's talking about. He does not know what he's doing. Old man, beat it. You stayed here in the hood this whole time and you have nothing. What? I have nothing? I own this home. It's not a big mansion. You're not renting the 10,000 square foot mansion in Malibu, right? Right. You don't have a drop top. You don't have the benzo. You don't have the bling bling that makes the ladies want to sing.
Mm-hmm. Or even the even simpler person, man who's working maybe a small little job but does the best for his family. Make sure they'll eat, they'll get their food. Yeah, they don't got a lot, but he'll sure make sure his folks are good. They don't. That won't be shown either
Right. He's a bum.
because he don't got nothing, but he got family
Hold
who
on.
loves him.
He got plenty. He doesn't have materialistic. He doesn't have what they value. He doesn't have what social media puts value on. But in fact, he's extremely wealthy. He has love. He has his health. He has his family. He has loyalty. Right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's a good person. What's a good person? You're not lying, you're not cheating, you're not stealing, you're not trying to bamboozle, you're not trying to take something that's not yours. You're trying to teach your family the best you know how. You try to be a good example. You lead by example. You spend quality time.
Also able to admit when you're wrong. That's a good one as well.
I
That's a
believe
great
that's a
quality to have
great one. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
because you can lead by example, but everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has their momentary downs, but it is imperative in that moment to be able to show, hey, I can acknowledge that I had messed up.
Which is leading by example, because you
It
can't
is.
lead by example and then you mess up and then you don't lead the way to show how to amend for your mistakes.
I just thought that one trait in particular is one that I think is important enough to set aside on its own.
Yes, sir. I agree.
As a lot of people have I think that a false sense of pride can get in the way of that, and that can be very detrimental. Now, I think we should go over. Let's see here. Let me check the agenda. Okay, so I think we got into this a little bit earlier, but how does like America sell us the successful black man? How does it portray the successful black man? Which we went over a bit. I think it sells us the You have a few. You got the high baller. That's you got all the clothes. You got all the shoes. You got all the women. You got all the car. And
Right.
then you got the athleticism. You are
Right.
playing basketball. You're playing football. You're
Tennis.
playing basketball and you're playing football. Oh, tennis is tennis. There we go.
You're an athlete, so
You're
it's
an
all of
athlete.
it. You golf.
It is all athlete as a whole, but there are certain ones that they focus in on.
Yes, of course. Basketball and football are the trademark
They do.
Negro sports.
And then the rapper,
The entertainer, because you can dance
entertainer. There
too.
we
Don't
go.
forget, you can, as long as you're singing and dancing.
And none of the way they portrayed is you either got a lot of money which makes you have self-worth. You have a talent of sorts, which is a good thing to have. And you can be what is it? Hyper violent or hypersexualized, boxing, for example.
Right.
You're a man because you can knock someone out. And then we got the high baller. Yeah, I went over like that's a lot of money, but that's not it. Just because you have a lot of money, that's not all of it. You wear your money on your sleeve, in
Right.
particular. You don't save it up. The minute you got $100 in your hand, you're wearing $100 on your feet.
Right. Right. It's gone.
Gone. And I think that one in particular, I think is very damaging for people who are for a young black man to look at, be like, hey, in order for me to be successful or be a man, I need to have this certain type of shoe. I need this certain type of shirt. And what that does is that keeps your bank account empty. Yeah, you have this some nice shoes on, but you're still as broke as always.
One of the biggest consumers.
You're same old, same old. You haven't gone anywhere. That keeps us down. How are you supposed to move places in a place like America without some pocket change? Without a little savings.
Economic responsibility.
And economic responsibility isn't something they teach us. Oh, this is how you be a man. Just that you have money, not what you do with the money once you get it.
Right. Right.
And those people who are millionaires, and how do they do that? You don't certainly think they just made $1 million in a day. Now, some people did, but
I
a
mean, you
lot of
can
people got
go
to work up.
down. I mean, you can go down the. I mean, you can go down to nepotism. You can go down
Yes,
from the old money. You know,
you can.
uh, then this starts getting into the creation of generational health. I mean, wealth. Then it starts getting into uh, home ownership, redlining. You know,
Mm-hmm.
eminent domain, the freeways coming through certain neighborhoods and displacing certain residents. I mean, you know, I I think it's just the lack of the education where it comes right there. But um, there has to be an ambition. I'm not saying there's not, but there has. So this social media man thing is everybody thinks they can hit a home run on the first pitch, and nobody wants to get on base anymore. You know, I mean, I don't want to sound like the pull yourself up by the bootstraps because that's just not true. It's
Yeah,
just not true.
not for the
You know,
black man in America, it ain't.
but I don't want to sound like there's that we're a community out here that's not striving for success and we just don't know how to do nothing because that's absolutely the farthest thing from the truth. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I think we're experiencing what a lot of um, other races are experiencing with their younger generation. Now, obviously, we have some other situations involved in our generation, but I think there's a lack of role models in every community right now. Good role models in every community that
Yeah.
everybody's just trying to latch on and find something to believe in. And I just think that's when we're all children of Christ. I know that's not where we're on, but I'm just putting that in there to clear up any misconceptions of things that we're saying. This is
Okay.
we're basically having a family conversation, an inside look at a family conversation. Uh, um, you're getting an inside
Mm-hmm.
look on the Black community and conversations that should probably be taking place in
Yeah.
every Black home if they're already not taking place.
I think one thing you said there, pulling yourself up your bootstraps is an important one because on one hand, it is was going to sing households without the father. I was going to that one particular. I want to focus in on that real quick. The pulling up your bootstraps goes right along with it. On one hand, it is important for, I think, some people in the Black community to realize that you can choose whether or not to leave your child.
Right.
You have the freedom to do so in the majority of situations. But also, it must be recognized that ever since we came to America, the broken family has been a state.
I mean,
The
it's been pushed. It was a thing. It was almost mandatory that you come over here.
Mhm.
I don't want the mom and dad at the same spot. Let me move the children over here to somewhere else. You get what I'm saying? Even down, trickle down to Section 8. Here, let me give you housing, but the man can't be there.
Yeah, so even looking at the very beginning, it's not as simple as pull yourself by your bootstraps. It's unfortunately almost ingrained in the culture.
I mean, there are some things that stem from traumatic experiences that can be passed down. I mean, that's a thing. But I know it's us now, so it's over 400 years ago. But get over it. But if you want to refer to anything about the Holocaust, yeah, they're still going through it now. They still have traumatic episodes and passed down in lineage and DNA and they have those issues, but nope, not over here. We're not allowed to do that. We have to always be looked upon as the superhero and the backbone, and you're strong.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I think going off of that, there is in the generational trauma portion. I think one of my favorite things I got from you was take the good, leave the bad. I think every single father should tell their son this.
That's
You
what
may
my
have role
father
models,
told me.
but at the end of the day, you must realize, just like you, your role model, your father, your grandfather, and a great grandfather were people.
With
They're all
faults.
people, and they have faults. And so it's important to take the good of what they've done, the great that they've given you, and leave what you consider the bad. Just because they're your role model doesn't mean you have to take on the entirety of them as you, because you're your own person.
Right.
You're simply using them as maybe a guideline
A roadmap, if you will.
on how to become a man. And when it comes to, you know, it's always good maybe to have several sources. Take it as becoming a man as like a research paper. You never base your research paper off of and your conclusion off of one paper. You always go out and find many, and you always take the good out of the paper and what you need. Of course, you do. You leave the bad, but you also take notice of the bad, and you're like, okay, I don't want that. That's not something I wanna push forward. So I'm gonna leave that behind, and then I'm gonna bring the good into the next generation. And I think that if every young black man was told that, every boy spoken those words, I think they'd be able to turn out a lot better. Even if they were surrounded by um, role models who aren't the best and have maybe a few redeeming qualities. Through all those maybe okay role models, you've gathered enough good that
Right.
maybe you can form like a great man out of yourself.
Right. Because God can use anybody, and even a broken clock is right twice a day.
And hey, considering there's 24 hours in a day, you only need 12 clocks. And then let's see here. You got anything else? What next?
I like where you're going with this.
Let me
I
ask you a
just
question. Actually, yeah, go.
yeah, go no, go ahead.
Uh, if I was to ask you who your role model is, and what would be your answer, or who your role models were? I'm sure they may
Um,
probably have changed over time.
yeah, yes, yes. It's my understanding of what a good role model, because like any kid, and we have to even talk about your frontal lobe and how it's not developed and fully until you're like 25, and some people are going to get it sooner than others. So yes, I may have had sports role models that weren't necessarily good because we're not told, listen, he just puts a ball in the hoop. He's not necessarily a good person. He doesn't necessarily have great characteristics outside of the basketball court. So now I have more, of course, my father, uh, Dr. Claude Anderson, you know, people who are even Nikki Giovanni, who just recently passed, rest in peace. You know, there's people like this that yeah, were my role models, but I stay to my faith more. And so now my role models are more, like I said, my father and, of course, my heavenly father. And so I feel like if you stick to those role maps, which is religion has always played a big part in my rearing, in my decision making, and has always kept me from going too far,
Mm-hmm.
always kept me uh, authentic. It's always kept me from idolizing, these outside role models. You know, um, it's kept me in the community, kept me grounded, uh, kept me from other more harmful influences. And then even sometimes you got to watch out in your own family. So I mean, everybody knows about the drunk uncle who likes to maybe fondo. I don't know. I'm not excusing it. What I'm saying is we have to stop pretending like we don't see certain things that are not right in our families. We have to
Yeah,
speak up on them. We have to stop these generational situations. I don't like to use the word curse. So these generational things that we accept just because it's always been done like this. Well, just because it's always been done a certain way, it could be good. And they say if it's broke, don't fix it. But maybe it is broke and we just didn't want to fix it. Maybe it is broken. We've just been ignoring it, like the smoke detector that's in your house that's been beeping because the battery is dead. Right? You ever went in somebody's house and and it's beeping? It's like, hey,
all the time.
you can fix that. It's a simple fix. So some of these problems that we have are actually simpler fixes than we make it out to be,
Yeah.
in theory, anyways.
Huh? Cool.
Who
I'd like to.
besides me, who's your role models?
Let me go over here. I'd say I have a. Hmm. I would have to go with my grandpa. He's one of them.
Okay.
Um, there's a lot of good things in there to be taken from him, and there's some other things that he showed me I won't be taking. But I'm glad he showed them to me,
Right,
so I
right,
know I won't make that same mistake. And maybe it was a mistake I would have never known about if he didn't tell me about it. Of course, I'm sure he didn't frame it as a mistake, but to each their own.
right, right,
Just how
right.
he that's how he grew up. He grew up in a way different time than I did.
I got
And
to
let's see. Oh,
go
continue.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm just trying to think of another black role model in particular that I have. Um, I don't know. I had a really good family.
Yeah. I don't recommend going so far out the family, anyways. You know, like I said, if people are going to be honest about who's in their family, and you know, other than trying to go after these larger than life figures that you know nothing about, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But I'd also um, pose this question to you: do you think that historical role models are, for lack of a better term, better than your current role models?
I think that the way we view them is entirely different.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
Reason being is that we kind of put them on a pedestal in idolize them as like the perfect being now. Like
Right.
let's go for Martin Luther King Jr. He's he did great things. Don't get me wrong. He was a very influential figure, civil rights, amazing. Yes, but if you look into the family, there's issues that he had.
Right.
Every person has their faults. Now, if we just look at him, if he was alive today, and those were in his family, and he had issues within the family, and those were brought to light. I mean, that would be the main thing people focus on.
Right. Right.
So once again, that's why I think take the good and leave the bad is so important when it comes to role models.
He might have got canceled before he could even give his speech.
Exactly. And then he would not be no Martin Luther King Jr. no more.
Right. 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 Right.
So it is back then the climate was entirely different. I think it is good. What we usually take from him is great. His speech, that's good stuff right there. Yes, that's for people to come together despite skin color. Great message. And
Right.
you can
Right.
definitely take that and be like, okay, I should have a strong belief in what I believe is right, and I should stand for that no matter what. Great quality to take from it, but you can't take his everything.
Right. Right.
This is, in fact, I think there's something to be said that's what we talk about. We took the good. That's why we only talk about the good. That's what we've taken. Exactly what we did. We took the good and we left the bad. But I believe it's still important to bring up the bad, just so you don't hold yourself to I need to be the perfect being,
Right.
because
And
he wasn't.
also what to stay away from,
Exactly what to stay away from. Hey,
how to
I can.
recognize it.
I'm gonna take the good, but I realize that through his mistakes, I might be able to become an even better person.
Right.
And then maybe you make some mistakes, and then your son's like, oh, well, he improved, but maybe I can improve even further. And that's the cycle you want to start.
That is the cycle. That is generational wealth.
Exactly. Not just financial wealth, but personal wealth, like emotional wealth, familial wealth.
Mental
That's
health
how when
wealth.
you are on your deathbed, that's how you have plenty of family and grandkids and kids coming to your side. That kind of wealth.
Right.
Not sitting there lonely in your final hours
In your old folks' home.
in your old folks' home. Your kids, I mean, they should want to be around you when you're in your old age.
Right.
It should be a joy to have you and enjoy to have them with you. And that's only possible with starting a more positive cycle instead.
See, I
Because
think
cycles
that,
aren't bad. It just
yeah,
depends on
not
what's
at all.
perpetuated.
Right.
And with our issue is that we're perpetuating the wrong thing. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's just it's what's idolized, it's what's put out there in front of the young people, it's what they will gravitate towards on YouTube. With the black community is usually shown as, oh, loud, rambunctious, um,
Buffoons.
buffoons, the jester,
You're correct.
and then those kids go to school, they go to their houses, and they play the jester.
Right, right, right.
But there's only so many courts in which someone can play the jester. Not everyone could be it. Not everyone could be the buffoon and get paid to be the buffoon when they grow up.
Right,
You know,
right.
these are performers. You cannot believe that they act like that on a daily basis.
But
They
they
do not.
do. But they
Some of
believe
them do.
that. But they believe it.
And
And then
that's
some of
just
them do though. To
yeah,
some of them that to be able to do some of that, you gotta sink pretty low because at that point you're selling your soul for a price.
so I think it is important to notice that there is a difference between, and when you're looking at role model, you must realize sometimes they're performers, and you have to realize how much of what they're doing is performative
Right.
or actually them. You know,
A black caricature.
exactly. Do they play
Uh,
the jester, but at home they're really like a loving, great role model, a wonderful father, a husband, but the minute they're on screen, they're a, a clown,
I mean a black man playing black face basically.
pretty much.
I mean, even like the uniform of I sag my pants and I do this and I do that and all the big jewels and I sag my pants and I right. But then when you go to that board meeting, you have on the suit and you don't look that way, but it was only because you was on stage and you're a performer and that's your outfit, that's your uniform for the stage. But he really don't walk around with his pants hanging all off his butt when he goes to the
Exactly.
brand deals and he goes to the movie set because now he's doing movies now. And no,
Hmm.
they don't go to that set like that. They go to their trailer and they put on their makeup and their uniform and that's what they come out as. And I think too, I think we have to I think personally we have to get away from the singular like role model. We have to have like a
Yeah.
collective of leadership, a collective, a community centered leadership, you know, cooperative economics. People have to take uh, uh, advantage of mentorship
Hmm.
initiatives, but it has to be collective rather than individual success, and that's what we see. Um, Everybody's on team me. I'm solo. I got here by myself. Even Drake said, "You wasn't with me shooting in the gym." And like you had mentioned, redefining what success is.
Yeah.
I thought that was very important too. I thought that was a very good point to point out. We have to start redefining what we look at as what is successful. And
Right.
it's not saying to dumb it down. I don't want to say
Hmm.
you shouldn't shoot for the stars. That's not what I'm saying. But the stars don't have to be on the basketball court.
They don't.
Thought this was a very good discussion, man.
It was. Thank you. I mean, it is. It's extremely important that I think that if any young black men are watching the show, it is, please look around you and really think about who you're looking up to. I think you should critically examine, like, are these good role models? Are these bad role models? If they're not, if they're even if they're bad role models, what can I take away from them that's positive, and what can I learn not to do? You know, is this a true representation of the black man I want to be, or is it simply someone playing the part? You
Right.
really ask yourself these questions, because a positive cycle can start with you. It can be you. I'm not going to say it's easy at all. It is much easier playing the jester, playing the caricature. But it's a whole lot more impressive to become an actual black man.
Right, right.
And
Definitely.
to the stars portion you just mentioned, you really don't have to find your stars in the court or in the lyrics, because I found my stars in the sandbox, literally.
There you go.
Um, I grew up playing in the dirt, and now I play in the dirt professionally as a geologist. And speaking of stars, I'm in particular a planetary geologist, so I quite literally found my stars in the sandbox. That's what I do. So
There you go,
thank you.
people.
You have any last words here?
I just want to say we need to continue to celebrate and support the leaders amongst us, not as untouchable icons, but as humans working alongside us to uplift our communities. Leadership is not about perfection, it's about progress. And together we can redefine what it means to be a leader and a good role model. Thank you
Wonderful,
for
wonderful.
having me, son.
No problem. Thank you for getting on. This has been crispy around the edges. We're bringing you the golden brown truth. Thank you.